Bush would love to have you there, Calvin said. 5:40 p.m. Eastern. Jim is speaking at the Harvard Business School, talking about healthcare and its impact on small business and corporations. It's a dinner attire deal at the business lecture hall / dinner theater. There was hamburgers for dinner, beer for the adults over 21, and for the kids, sodas and tea and water. 5:30 p.m. JR and Dave Smith decided to have hamburgers tonight at Crockett House for dinner. "We missed you at breakfast and lunch, JR," Mrs. D said. "Oh, it's just nothing. I just had a little cold," JR said. "6:15 p.m. In the dorm room, JR, Kevin McDonald, and Charlie Nation are listening to 98 Cool when the Steve Miller Band, The Joker, was being played. Charlie lights a cigarette. "Man, get the hell out of here," Kevin said. "JR just got over a cold. He really don't need to be smoking cigarettes right now." "Chill, man," Charlie said. It's herb. It's seed." "Charlie, smoke that somewhere else," JR said. "Why does my mother and grandmother come in, man?" 7:20 p.m. Eastern. At the hotel suite, JR calls Betsy saying how much he misses her. But he reassures her that he'll be home this weekend. He lights a cigarette and shares sea breezes with Claude. It was a wonderful time for all. November 9th, 4:20 a.m. Eastern. Jim is sleeping peacefully until he gets a call from the foreman of the rig in Colorado City, Texas. Apparently, the generator is in an outage. Cursing, Jim says to go out there and have the petroleum engineer kick the generator on. 3:20 a.m. JR wakes up in his dorm room at Texas Tech. He knows that the study room don't open automatically until 4 a.m. And he knows that Charlie Nation is probably sleeping in the main living room couch right now. And so he goes into his own living room to study for Spanish. When the study room was open, he'd be able to practice his speech. 4 p.m. JR goes into the study room and starts practicing his public speech. Tonight it was to be a big motivational speech. 5:30 a.m. Eastern. Jim wakes up and makes some black coffee in the coffee machine and lights a cigarette. Today at 9 a.m. he was going to be at the Carroll School of Management at Boston College. His topic of discussion would be policy information for corporations and small businesses. 5 a.m. Central. At the Sibley, JR is in swimming practice with Charlie and Clyde Nation. "So how goes it with Karen?" Charlie asked. "Lay off Karen, man," Clyde, his cousin, said. I want JR to nab her, Charlie said. She won't even let me touch her, Daryl said. I want her to I just want to hold her, Daryl said. See, Charlie? And there's no way JR could have seen Karen yesterday because he was sick. Remember? Or has the sea clouded your judgment? I like my herbs just fine, thank you very much, Charlie said. You know, it's made pretty good, Jorge. I don't want to hear about Jorge and your crazy herb, Charlie, Gerald said. I just want to swim in peace. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, Elizabeth drinks a cup of coffee and lights a cigarette. Betsy is also up and dressing. Today was a time to gather food for the cattle to graze in the North 9 pasture before putting them back in the barns. 6:20 a.m. Eastern. In the hotel business center, Jim's drinking coffee, and he picks up the phone to call the foreman in Colorado City via cell phone. The foreman, giving a performance rating, said the generator was working just fine and all systems were go. He told the foreman to report his findings to the Railroad Commission so that he can write his annual report, which he knows in some ways would not be going well for his business. 5:20 a.m. Central. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, Elizabeth is feeling some pain, so she lies down and listens to some country music videos. She takes Neurontin to relax. She is surprised that Kyle is coming back to the ranch in December. While she is overjoyed, she is not enjoying the chance for a return to Nirvana and Pearl Jam to the ranch vocabulary. She would prefer the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band and Flat and Scruggs to that jazz cat poop. 6:30 a.m. Eastern. Jim and Claude have breakfast together. Eggs, bacon, biscuits with gravy, coffee, and orange juice. They talk about buying a coat in the hotel gift shop before going to the speech. Jim talks about his last conversation on Friday with Congressman John LaFalce. He's excited about the chance of the congressman, along with the Texas Democratic congresswoman, might actually recommend him to Clinton. "7 a.m. Eastern. Jim is at the conference center at the hotel practicing his speech for the day. And it would be the same speech he would have tonight at the Citizen Forum, the hotel put by the Harvard Political Union. The keynote would be given by Archbishop Francis Law of Boston. 7 a.m. Central. JR decides to have breakfast at Crockett House with Clyde Nation. "I'm sorry about my cousin's flippant behavior," Clyde said. "But I have to know how you're doing with Karen." "What are you doing with Karen?" "I guess we're in a cooling off period again." "I don't know. All I know is that Sunday, when I try to reach out to hug her, She thrust me away, thrust me aside. I mean, I am in love with her. But if she doesn't want me, well, then maybe I should move on. You should go out on a date tonight with Sharon Maslin. We got public speaking class tonight. Dinner then. Ask her to go to dinner with you. Just let me see if I can work it out with Karen. 9 a.m. Eastern. Jim begins his speech at the Carroll School of Management in Boston College. Quite a few Gen Xers in graduate school were intrigued by his common sense conservative views on policy information for corporations and small business. 8:05 a.m. Central. At the Center for Visually Impaired on the third floor of the library, JR is working on practicing his Spanish with a computer room door closed. Prende de luz. Paga de... JR said excitedly. Paga de luz. Hola en Espanol. He laughs in glee, confident that he may finally have a grip on Spanish. At the same time, at the ranch, Betsy is cleaning the cattle to prepare for the grazing. After grazing, she instructed the foreman to have the 8 men to immunize the cattle. The 9 men to immunize the cattle. Sheep, horses, and pigs. The goats only got vaccinated once a year. "9 a.m. Gerald walks out of the library and bumps into Karen. JR, I'm sorry, Karen said. Last weekend I got an earful from my mother about your father. I told you, I am not my father. When are you gonna understand that? I was brought up differently from you. Mama read the Bible to us, and she encouraged me to read the Bible, Gerald said. My mother never did that, Karen said sadly. We shuffled between Odessa, Arlington, Amarillo, and Lubbock. Life with her was traumatic. That's why I'm setting the standard, Karen said. Hey, let's grab lunch and tea after my Spanish lab, okay? 11 o'clock? Perfect. I can play a David Barton tape on the way to lunch. Skyview on 19th Street. Has the perfect sit, Gerald said. We hope that you enjoyed J.R. Hendrick, Texan Consort. If you like what you hear, please subscribe and become a part of the J.R. Hendrick, Texan Consort adventure. It's J.R. Hendrick saying, until next time, take care. God bless you.